And Tahani, so take me through your journey of coming to Canada. So what did you do when you first got here? How did you get by financially? So talk about your story from, how you got into Canada and sort of your first few years, how that all sort of transpired, and how did you get by financially, that sort of stuff.
Yes. So I guess since my dad knew I was very talented at school, and he knew he could not really give me the education that maybe I needed to while I was in Jordan. One day I was just coming home from school, and then I'm being greeted by my family and my aunts and uncles, and they're all kissing me and hugging me. I'm like, what's happening? What's going on? And that's when they told me, you just got married. There was a pause. I could not hear anything but stillness.
How old were you again?
I was only 15 years old.
At 15, and they just informed you that you were now getting
married me off, yes. They just informed me that I got married to somebody that I don't know or ever met. And that was dramatic enough. And then to add to it is like, oh, you're going to go to Canada. And at the time, again, I did not even know where Canada is or anything about Canada or English or the English language or any of that stuff. And my dowry practically was only $2. So it was, so that's how it was. So it was a huge shift. It's like a shift that I did not even ask for. It's like things change that are out of our control. And this was one of it, is that I did not even ask for it. It was made by my parents for me. I did not make that.
Wow, that's crazy. So talk a little bit more about, so now you're going to get married. So did the marriage happen in Jordan, or did you come to Canada to get married?
So yes, we had a little party in Jordan, and then I came to Canada. It was so difficult to come to Canada, but we still had a party also in Canada. And at 15, I had to obviously, learn a new language, learn a new, culture, being in a different culture. I remember the first time walking down the aisles of my school. I wanted to go to the bathroom, and I did not even know what to say or how to say I want to go to the bathroom. And I just remember I'm going like this to the teacher. I gotta go, almost like the sign language, and then they knew right away, and then they had to tell me where to go. But there was a huge differences, John. Like I saw, it's a cultural shock for a Canadian to go to Jordan, or if we're a Jordanian to come to Canada. And to top that, it was also shocked to be, at my age, being married and having the responsibility of having to, to take care of my husband and to take care of my new home and to take care of my mother-in-law, father-in-law. Yeah. Plus, on top of that, my dad told me that we're sending you to Canada so that you're able to make it and you're able to help us back home here in the refugee camp. So if you were to take like a second and think about the responsibility, the huge responsibility I had on my shoulders at that age.
That's crazy. So, so you were going to, when you were in Canada, you were married, going to school, and looking after a household at the same time.
And having a part-time job as well at a convenience store.
That was the convenience store owned by your husband's family?
At the time, not.
No.
At the time, not.
So was your husband Jordanian, and he was living in Canada? Okay.
Yes, correct.
Sort of just trying to get some of the backstory here. So.
Yes, that's okay. You can keep asking. Yes.
So when you first got there, you're 15, being taken care of by your husband at the time and his family, obviously having to contribute. How long did it take you to, one, learn the language? And, because if you're working part-time, you're probably just stocking shelves or working in a store. But how long did it actually take you to learn the language in Canada, well enough that you could communicate effectively?
So what happened is when my dad told me, I cried to my dad and I said, please, Dad, don't marry me. Please, Dad, don't send me to Canada. He said to me, I'm doing this because of you, because I know you went to school and I've already said to your husband-to-be that he will promise me that you will go to school and he will keep you in school for as long as you want. Yeah. So when I went to Canada, even though they made that promise, my mother-in-law, father-in-law, and my ex-husband, they made that promise to my dad. When I came to Canada, they said, oh, okay, you know, you could try. Let's see where it's going to go. Mm-hmm. So when I went to school, even though I did not speak any English or anything like that, by 3 years, I mean, I picked it up really good, maybe not necessarily speaking very, very well, but writing and understanding very, very well. And I graduated from high school with all like A's, as in marks.
Excellent.
And that's when I ended up, going to college. And culturally, I'm supposed to have a kid right away, but I did not want to have a kid at age 15. So I again begged and I negotiated and I asked if I could go to university, and they said, no, university is not even an option for you because you have to have kids. So then I ended up going to college, and I went for a 3-year course at Conestoga College here in this area. And I graduated as well with an honors, on an honors roll. So excellent. It was just a wonderful journey. I wanted business, and I knew that that's what I wanted from day one, even though my family want me to be a nurse. They said, you're very compassionate, you're very caring, you got to get into nursing. And I'm like, nope, I want business. I knew that business is the way for me. So
can you share with us some of the challenges that you went through? I mean, you've been in Canada, you've gone to school, went to college, graduated with top honors, top marks. Share with us some of the challenges that you went through in your personal life here in Canada, and sort of how did you overcome those challenges early on before you actually started into your true entrepreneurial career? So can you just share some of the challenges that you had?
Some of the challenges were like, having to balance house life, having a kid and studying. And not only studying, you have to remember, then there was no Google. It was the Webster Dictionary. So I would go home and I would, try and find out what is the meaning of, a word. And it would take me a long time, and I would go word by word by word. And even when I'm doing math, it's like I didn't know what the plus sign is, what the minus sign is called. And I would have to do, so it's like taking all that extra time to learn the language while I'm studying my class, while I'm actually working a part-time job, while I'm taking care of the house. And then the last year I had a baby, and I had to take care of my baby as well. So it's been extremely, it's so much, to handle, and so much, to do. And everybody around me did not want me to do this. And that's the crazy thing, is that they all were waiting for me to fail. They were all waiting for me to give up, but I would not, because I've always loved education. I've always believed in learning, because I believed if I have education and I keep learning, then I will grow. And if I grow, I'll never stay the same. And that's one of the lessons that I've learned early on in my entrepreneurial, world.
Yeah. So when is it that you had your first child? So when is it that you actually sort of went head first? How much longer before you had gone head first into being a true entrepreneur? So were you still married at the time? Sort of, what was the transition from being a mom, being a housewife? You had just finished college. What was the transition between then and you actually becoming a realtor and really starting down that path? Okay. So what happened is, right after my college, I had my baby girl, and then, my son. 2 years later, I've had my son. But meanwhile, my ex-husband and his brothers were opening a convenience store, and they thought it was going to be extremely hard to open a convenience store in the location that they did, and very unlikely it's not going to succeed. I told them I will make it very successful. I took it on, and within a year, it was very, very successful. While I was doing that, and they were being shocked of how well I'm doing, and they were thinking of maybe actually opening another store for me, my brother came up to me and says, Tahani, I'm thinking about selling few toys in a flea market. I don't know, I'm sure people in North America know what a flea market is. And I said, okay, great, but why a flea market? Why not have you a store? I'm always thinking bigger. I'm always thinking, more ideas. And he's like, but I don't know if I can do that. I don't know if the bank will give me money. I don't know if I can find a store to put these toys in. I don't know if people will give me,
a credit. You know how they give you like products and you pay like in 30, 90, 60 days?
Yes.
And I'm like, let me handle that. And that's when I went on. We opened, a few months later, I opened a dollar store for him. That was when the first, you know, the dollar store, it was the craze of the dollar store, early 1990s.
Yes.
And within 1 year, that dollar store, we started with a loan of $20,000. Within 1 year, we had over $180,000 worth of inventory, plus a 2,000, you know, square foot, you know, dollar store, one of the busiest in the area I'm in, one of the busiest stores in the area I was in. And from there was a real estate office across the road.
Okay.
And the manager of that office would come to the store to get cigarettes and gum and water. And then he would see me interact with people. And then he kept saying, Tahani, I think you should get into real estate. And I'm like, but I don't know anything about real estate. And he's like, oh, I think you would be phenomenal. I could actually help you, you know, with your skills and with your people's skills, you would be phenomenal. And I'm like, finally, I said, okay. And that's when I got into the real estate business.
Excellent.